One of Kendrick's greatest songs ever was never released. What's going on, YouTube? It's only Knox Hill, and we're back with our reaction series. So today, man, we have a very special one. Again, we've had talks about leaks before, but this is one of those that was supposed to come out years ago, never did. Looks like, again, there's been a more purposeful leak on it. You guys have been telling me that this is a masterpiece from Kendrick. This is one of his greatest works he's ever put together. So you know what? I'm curious. We're going to dive into this one. Right here, right now, it's none other than Prayer. But before we get further, listen, if you like the hat that I'm wearing, White Chaos hats are back in stock. Last time we announced these guys, we sold out of these like they were candy. If you want to get yours, limited run on them while supplies last. Go support the channel, rock the brand, knoxhilldmv.com. I'll put all links down there so you can get yours. But anyways, know what we're here for. Kendrick, step back up to the plate. Let's see what you got. Wow. The nostalgic vibes already with this piano and just the way everything drops in.
I was born on February 24th, 1970. The day I was delivered, they said I would build a legacy. Picture me with influence that lasts generations. I was made out of love to keep you happy and educated. The first three letters of the alphabet, my name. I made you laugh, I made you...
The first three letters of the alphabet, my name, A, B, C? What type of person is named A, B, C? Can't be a person then. But anyways, unless you've got someone who's got the acronyms A, B, C, let me just think that one through. But before we dive further into that side of things, what I want to say is you hear this instrumentation, right? You hear the piano come in. You hear how smooth it is, right? It's got so much soul. And Kendrick just has this way of just bridging generations, bridging decades of music, right? He's learned from a lot of the greats in the past, and he finds a way to bring these different influences to life through his music. And you hear this drop, and you don't think, oh, we're going to get Kendrick rapping on this, or we're going to get any type of rap track on this, right? That's not the direction that the instrumentation is taking you. And I just love that creativity and experimentation from Kendrick, who you never know what you're going to get and what's around the corner from him with these different tracks. You know, you hear the jazz influences, you hear the soul influences, you hear just so many of the greats, and then nostalgia just seeps through it all.
Influence that lasts generations. I was made out of love to keep you happy and educated.
I was made out of love to keep you happy and educated. So this is a thing.
Three letters of the alphabet, my name. I made you laugh, I made you dance, I made you sing. I've been around the world and back. You recorded my almanac so dearly way before the fact. Me and Pops.
I made you laugh, I made you dance, I made you sing. It sounds like it's a performer, but I can't help but think it's like an it, right?
Around the world and back, you recorded my almanac so dearly way before the fact. Me and Pops was exchanged. My father was a public figure, bigger than life. Lived as a winner on stages alike. Rivers of people surely united just to see our bond. Time carried on, there was a common thread. My perfect father had many flaws. Still they moved their legs and shook their heads in unison. He had more children, I was the oldest. We always played with each other before they ruined them. He told me his personal secrets, childhood, catching them beaten, sexually touched and abused. Never seen life in a school. The price of being like...
It's like playing a murder mystery almost. He's just dropping different clues and different breadcrumbs throughout. We got another just great storytelling verse and setup from Kendrick Lamar and the way that he's written this, but now he's just revealing more. So you have someone around the 70s, traveling the world, performing, has their flaws, and then now we're introducing abuse as a child into it.
With each other before they ruined them. He told me his personal secrets, childhood, catching them beaten, sexually touched and abused. Never seen life in a school. The price of being iconic was demonic and screwed. I stood on stage and had the
price of being iconic was demonic. So you have this international celebrity who was maybe a child celebrity at some point.
The price of being iconic was demonic and screwed. I stood on stage and had to watch my father on the news. Stress on the head of my spirit. I was lost and confused. I knew both sides of the story, but still I couldn't choose. See, it was more than humiliation.
It's a great line. I knew both sides of the story, but still I couldn't choose. There's always two sides to a story and a situation, isn't there? When you see a celebrity getting dragged through the muck in the mud on the news. There's their side, there's the media side. There's the truth that the audience thinks they know and the truth that they know. That's a great line.
I knew both sides of the story, but still I couldn't choose. See, it was more than humiliation and being sued. They crucified my affiliation for points to prove. And now my purpose for living makes no difference to you. My total existence was for making a smile and move. They said that I'll live forever, but the moment he died, more accusations arrived. I had to die too.
They said I would live forever, but then once he died, I had to die too. This is like a riddle. What is timeless? Music is timeless. Music can live on for forever. And when an artist dies, sometimes music does die with that artist. Sometimes it lives on beyond their years. But this is someone who went through pain and abuse and then had his own accusations against him. 70s. ABC, is it as easy as 1, 2, 3? It's Michael, right? Jackson 5, got to be tying in with his dad because they was talking about his dad before. Or no, he's the father of the song, and he gave birth to the song. Hang on, I want to check this. Let's check this. Come back to it. Hang on. That's what it is. ABC by the Jackson 5. And it makes sense. Wow, these last lines at the end, the way he brings it all around. Hang on. Amazing setup and writing and conceptualization of this.
On stage and had to watch my father on the news. Stress on the head of my spirit. I was lost and confused. I knew both sides of the story, but still I couldn't choose. See, it was more than humiliation and being sued. They crucified my affiliation for points to prove.
They crucified my affiliation for points to prove. Obviously, the allegations against Michael Neverland Ranch and his affiliation with younger kids and all of that. Think about a song like ABC, which is such a family friendly, he was a kid at the time when he sang that song. So you see the irony and why this song and this creation by this person and the allegations against him, how he could get crucified and how this song could then be bastardized from that. Isn't it ironic? This man who has all these whisperings and these rumors about what he's doing with younger kids, making a song like ABC, and then you don't listen to that song the same way. You could see how that spins. That's really cleverly put by Kendrick Lamar.
And being sued, they crucified my affiliation for points to prove. And now my purpose for living makes no difference to you. My total existence was for making a smile and move. They said,
yeah. My existence, I'm having an existential crisis from a song perspective. I love how he just personifies the song and writes it like being a child and the father is Michael. But in this case, it's the song, right? And what was the song? The song was innocent. The song was meant to make you feel good, meant to make you move, to dance. And now all of a sudden, that feel good nature of the song, because it's connected to Michael, you don't listen to the song the same way. But does the song exist outside of Michael or vice versa? Wow.
They crucified my affiliation for points to prove. And now my purpose for living makes no difference to you. My total existence was for making a smile and move. They said
makes no difference to you. I love how he puts that line in there, because that kind of breaks the fourth wall. It just shatters it all and brings us now into this conversation, into this verse.
Difference to you. My total existence was for making a smile and move. They said that I'll live forever, but the moment he died, more accusations arrived. I had to die too.
Yeah. Wow. How is this not released? I'm one verse in and this is crazy.
I remember taking my first breath, August 28, 1963. The whole nation had saved the date. I made it on TV. My come out was a standing ovate. The crowd in disbelief.
No, I know this one. I do know this date. I don't have to go look this up, right? Martin Luther King. I had a dream. I had a dream. That is the day when he gave the I had a dream speech.
First breath, August 20.
So now we know that. Now we'll listen through with this lens.
I remember taking my first breath, August 28, 1963. The whole nation.
I'm a DC boy. Come on, DC.
Had saved the date. I made it on TV. My come out was a standing ovate. The crowd in disbelief. How could a group of words be so great? Designed to make you think. Races and faces embracing my conscience and letter form. How gracious was I?
embraces my conscience in letter form. Even right there, he can't help himself. Just the rhyme writing he mixes into this storytelling track.
To make you think, races and faces, embracing my conscience in letter form. How gracious was I, speaking on changes was outside the norm. The person responsible, my creator, he never conformed or used hatred to form as retaliation. Watch him perform with conviction. 250,000 souls left their homes to listen. I gather his thoughts in abundance made to complete the mission. His life became heroic, then tables turned.
I mean, that's it, you know? Martin Luther King and his peaceful protests. But just imagine the weight he carried back then in a time when social media didn't exist, right? When he didn't have influencers. The influence that he had to bring that many people out to watch him give his speech. The impact that he had upon an entire nation. And racial politics at the time. And segregation. And all the change he brought about. And how many are still taught today of his legacy of the I Had a Dream speech. But again, the way that he's writing this, it's not about MLK. It's about the product of what MLK made. In this case, it's the speech. It's the greatness of the speech. Just like Michael Jackson wrote from the perspective of the ABC. So again, you have this, you know, father-son creation allegory going on throughout this.
My creator, he never conformed or used hatred to form as retaliation. Watch him perform with conviction. 250,000 souls left their homes to listen. I gather his thoughts in abundance made to complete the mission. His life became heroic, then tables turned. My creator stripped from being a poet because he yearned. Other women, infidelity stricken. I can't say he was perfect, it made me nervous. They tear him down and forget me. I prayed that I survive in the midst of the controversy. How many lives have followed deaf ears if I'm not worthy? I won't justify his personal problems, that's not my job. I was only born to make sure your children can play outside, and I imagine the other demons he hid before.
I was only born to make sure your children could play outside. What a great line.
To make sure your children can play outside, and I imagine the other demons he hid before he died. If they came to surface, this dream probably won't be alive because of you.
That's a great ending line, and just to give it away what it is.
Surface, this dream probably won't be alive.
This dream probably won't be alive if I had a dream. This dream that MLK had, this dream, literally the speech, won't be alive. You know, that there would be equality for all, right? And when he's talking about children, he's talking to his black community, right? That black children can go outside and just play, right? And not have to have these separations of who's sitting where on the bus, of who's drinking where at the water fountain, of who's going to what school and doing that, right? You just think about the transcendence of this great work. But what's interesting yet again is you have another figure who has been through controversy, especially after he passed away. Because what's interesting about MLK, right, is that the FBI had it out for MLK. They were afraid of his power and his influence at the time. So they had everything that he was doing tapped and tracked. And originally they started on the premise and the BS that he's affiliated with communists. But what they found as they're tapping him was that over time, this man is married. He's having all these extramarital affairs. He's having all these mistresses, right? I mean, listen, MLK, he was getting some, all right? Man was getting some pussy. It happens, right? The FBI takes all this, right? And they think this is a huge scandal. Like, you have this man who is preaching Christianity, who's preaching nonviolent protests, but this could damage his reputation. And what they did is they gave it to the press. They leaked it to the press themselves, right? The FBI, the government, leaked it to the press. But back then, the press didn't run scandalous stories and all that. It's not like the tabloids today. Man, they would have eaten it up today and ran with it and tried to cancel his ass. No, back then, the press sat on it. It got so bad that they even sent like an anonymous tip, the FBI did a letter, to MLK and his wife to make his wife aware of this situation. So Kendrick, knowing all of this, tying into this, it's another interesting one because you have someone who is flawed. Surprise, surprise. What's the theme here? Right? Humans have their flaws. But you have these pieces of work that are celebrated, that are timeless. And where is the line that is drawn between the artist and the art, the speech maker and the speech? And how should the legacy be measured? At least that's where we are so far. This is This is... Ooh.
Get me. I pray that I survive in the midst of the controversy.
I pray that I survive.
How many lives?
Because again, the importance of the message of the I Have a Dream speech should live on.
Follow deaf ears if I'm not worthy. I won't justify his personal problems. That's not my job. I was only born to make sure your children can play outside. And I imagine the other demons he hid before he died. If they came to surface, this dream probably won't be alive because...
I mean, it will be interesting because what? Isn't it on the 50th anniversary of his death? Like those tapes, the FBI tapes will be released. They'll finally be leaked. So we'll get to see what was talked about.
You.
Again, you talk about Kendrick Lamar, like, you want a hook? No hook. The hook is just the piano playing. I'm going to tell a story, and then I'm going to let this part marinate and just let it breathe before I tap back in.
I was born in paranoia, his poison for us. We can't create with joyous ambition, we're out of luck. The critics formed a new coalition and huddled up. The non-creators are now elated and out of touch. Why can't you gladly appreciate the influence we give? Stop staring.
The non-creators are now elated and out of touch. It's a nice way of putting the critics, right? It's easy for critics to come along and to hate and to critique art when they don't know what goes into the creative process and what artists and these people give to it.
Critics formed a new coalition and huddled up. The non-creators are now elated and out of touch. Why can't...
Right, huddled up, out of touch. So there's the external rhymes, right? Creators, elated, and then he taps in with the internal A rhymes.
And huddled up. The non-creators are now elated and out of touch. Why can't you gladly appreciate the influence we give? Stop staring at me disgusted, my substance made sure you live. You want the head of the messenger and the history from him, which eventually takes away from the good you accustomed. Think of a life without the likes of imagination that's prospering. The bodies that you consider genius, you like the boxer men, the great debaters and thinkers that gave you a voice. Why can't you prosecute the crimes and not the thoughts I employ? Because your better judgment would always look down on me. But if I recollect how we connect, you'll count on me. I got a theory that most of y'all won't allow to see. It goes like this: talent doesn't choose morality. See, if Daniel Hale was a killer, would you not want a heart? If Carl Benz was a racist, would you stop driving cars? I can't help we jump in these bodies and you call them a god. Just know the earth is just a rock without the voices of art. Sincerely yours.
Huh. He's like an author in this case. This is pinnacle storytelling rap, right? And just musicality 101. First verse, just the mystery of who is this? And writing from the perspective of just taking a song and personifying the song as a child. Second verse, setting up another story, right? And the overarching theme of all this is these great men whose legacies have been mauled and tarnished by controversies. Does that affect these great things that they've created and that they've given the world and the change that has passed on to the world? And then what he does is in the third verse, he steps into the conversation now and he brings it around full circle, right? And he gives you his thoughts. He kind of presents the problem in verse 1 and verse 2. And then verse 3, he ties in his conclusions. Amazing writing. And we're going to break down a little bit more of the lines that he said here.
Allowed to see. It goes like this: talent does you consider genius, you like the box from them, which eventually takes away from the good you accustomed.
Hang on.
Elated and out of touch. Why can't you gladly appreciate the influence we give? Stop.
So he starts before talking about the paranoia, right? And what he's been through. This is him entering into it, right? And you could see his paranoia because of his situation in his community that he came up in, the violence he was surrounded by, the paranoia of just survival in this case, right? Of trust and who to trust, his own family legacy, having trust issues and having issues, right? And that kind of sets up his art. And then all of a sudden you enter this world of music in the music industry. And then you have all these critics and all these people who want to make a name off of you, who want to hate you, who want to be negative with you. And that paranoia comes back around.
Can't you gladly appreciate the influence we give? Stop staring at me disgusted, my substance made sure you live. You want the head of...
Stop staring at me disgusted. My substance made sure you lived. You've been inspired. You've thrived off of my art. And yet, you judge me.
Once we give, stop staring at me disgusted. My substance made sure you live. You want the head of the messenger and the history from him.
You want the head of the messenger and the history from him. You know, back in the day, when kings would get brought messages, they didn't like it, they would behead the messenger. So in this case, we're beheading the messenger, and I take the history from him line. We want the message as well. We want the legacy. We want to take away the history of Michael Jackson. We want to take away the history of MLK and what their works created.
Substance made sure you live. You want the head of the messenger and the history from him, which eventually takes away from the good you accustomed. Think of a life without the likes of imagination that's prospering. The bodies that you consider G.
Life without imagination would be boring as hell.
A life without the likes of imagination that's prospering. The bodies that you consider genius, you like the boxer men, the great debaters and thinkers that gave you a voice. Why can't you prosecute the crimes and not the thoughts I employ?
Why can't you prosecute the crimes and not the thoughts I employ? That's the most important conclusion so far. And then he just doubles down on that a couple lines later. And in this case, it's almost like, I mean, this has been debated throughout the years, right? Should we take the art and separate that from the artist? Because artists are human and everyone has their flaws. And you dig deep enough, you're going to find skeletons on someone. In this case, some people have very different and more shocking skeletons than others. But still, the argument and the logic of that argument remains the same. I mean, hell, this was debated even back in Plato's time, right? The theory of forms. And the idea that we should pursue this truth. And, you know, the most holy attainment that we can try to achieve as humans is the concept of the idea and how the idea exists separate to the human, separate to our human condition and nature, right? There's this objective truth that we're all trying to obtain, and how ideas can be passed on and how they are timeless. The ideas of Martin Luther King, the ideas, the music, the impact of MJ.
Your better judgment would always look down on me. But if I recollect how we connect, you'll count on me. I got a theory that most of y'all won't allow to see. It goes like this: talent doesn't choose morality.
Talent doesn't choose morality.
If Daniel Hale was a killer, would you not want a heart? If
Daniel Hale, right? Open heart surgeon. Also opened the first black hospital.
Carl Benz was a racist, would you stop driving cars?
And then Carl Benz was well, Mercedes-Benz has a past of helping the Nazi party in racism, right? They even had concentration camps of workers during Hitler's time, but Carl Benz was gone before that. But, you know, we still celebrate Mercedes-Benz. How many rappers talk about it?
Would you not want a heart? If Carl Benz was a racist, would you stop driving cars? I can't help we jump in these bodies and you call them a god. Just know the
we jump in these bodies and you call them a god, because we're human at the end of the day. And we have this tendency to idolize these people, idolize celebrities. And then when they make a mistake, the persecution, right? And the attack that we give some of these celebrities. When, if you held up a mirror to some of our flaws and our mistakes, right? The irony and the hypocrisy of all of that. But the issue is that because we idolize these people, and somehow we forget that they're human too at the end of the day. And they're floating around on this space rock with us, just trying to figure it all out. And yet we somehow think that they're on a morally different ground than us. They're more intelligent than us because they have such success, right? There's something that makes them different, and we raise them up. And you have these crazy super fans that raise them up as deities. So when, you know, you're setting them up for a fall, the second that they do make a mistake, the crash is that much harder because you've built them up to be so high.
Allowed to see. It goes like this: talent doesn't choose morality. See, if Daniel Hale was a killer, would you not want a heart? If Carl Benz was a racist, would you stop driving cars? I can't help we jump in these bodies and you call them a god. Just know the earth is just a rock without the voices of art. Sincerely yours.
The earth is just a rock without the voices of art. It's true. Imagination makes the world so much more colorful. Art makes this world worth living in, coping with, being inspired by, and dealing with. And then he signs it, sincerely yours. Again, breaking that fourth wall. One more moment. Also, there was this dope little, like just this little vocal cut sample, like kind of buried down in the mix of different places. I wanted to talk about it before because I loved it in the production, but there was so much happening lyrically, I couldn't get to it. Holy shit, though. beautiful strings. Huh. Just as it feels like it's building into another crescendo, and it starts to rise, just cuts out, cuts the legs from underneath. I take that as like these celebrities, again, that we raise up, that we lift up on high, and then all of a sudden, we just cut everything out underneath of them, and it ends so abruptly. And where do we draw the line on legacy? Wow, I tell you what, I don't understand why this didn't make it onto an album, why this was not officially released, because this concept is incredible storytelling writing. This is dealing with a complex concept of art and the artist, and a conversation that's been happening for years, and putting it into the power and the passion of the art that he himself has created. This is one of his masterpieces. Kendrick Lamar, you were Knox Hill certified. Hope you guys liked today's video. Listen, for some reason you're here at the end. Obviously enjoy the content. Thank you for watching me just talk on and try to figure things out in my mind. Do me a huge favor, support the channel, subscribe, notifications on. Really does go a long way. I love you guys. Also, white hats, go get them. knoxhilldmv.com. We sold out of these last time. You want to support me, you want to support the brand and the channel, I'll put all links down there. All right, guys, catch you again.